Toji is an absolute monster. He is arguably one of the strongest fighters in Jujutsu Kaisen, even holding his own against some of the strongest sorcerers like Gojo, all without even an ounce of cursed energy. This is due to his heavenly restriction, which got rid of all of his cursed energy in exchange for increased physical prowess. But we don't care about any of that. We don't care about his heavenly powers. We don't care about his slug. We don't care about his weapons. We don't care about any of it. What we care about is why he looks like that. This man is cut up. He is big, he is strong, and he looks crazy. And on this channel, we're all about pushing ourselves to the absolute limit. So when Toji made his debut, you can say we all got a little excited. We have challenged ourselves to see if we can achieve the same physique that Toji has at home. And to achieve this, we're gonna be using calisthenics and weighted calisthenics. But before we do any of the extremely difficult exercises we would need to do to achieve a body like that, we have to start at the basics. If we want to get like Toji, we have to master the 4 elements: pulling, pushing, core, and legs. And a pretty good benchmark to determine if we've mastered these 4 elements is this beginner circuit. This is also the same circuit I use for people who want to start calisthenics. We're going to do the same thing here, which means if you can do 10 clean, full range of motion pull-ups, that means all the way up and all the way down, you've mastered the beginner portion of pulling. If you can do 20 push-ups, that means you've mastered the pushing portion of the basics. If you can do a 1 to 2 minute plank, that means you've mastered the basics for the core. And if you can do 20 bodyweight squats, that means you've mastered the leg portions as well. I know what you're thinking. This sounds way too easy, the top 10% of the internet. Don't worry, we're gonna have a much more difficult version just for you guys further in the future. But for now, we're gonna start at the beginning level and we're gonna work our way up. But if you think you're very strong, watch through the rest and see if you can do everything. If you can, then you're in perfect shape. Give the circuit a try. If you're tired by the end of it, maybe you're not as strong as you think you are. And that's a good thing. That means we're finding weaknesses and we're fixing them. Don't count yourself out just yet. If you think you're much stronger, give it a try. If you're like, oh, that was super easy, I got you in the next video, but for this time, we're gonna handle the beginner section. Now then, for the first element, the pulling portion, we need to master pull-ups. To do this, we're gonna start off with scapula shrugs. So you're gonna hang from the bar and shrug your shoulders down. You're gonna feel a lot of engagement in your upper back right here, and I want you to give me 10 reps of those. Once you've mastered scapula shrugs, you wanna move on to pull-up negatives. I know a lot of people will say go band assisted. I personally think that's wrong because the band gives you way too much assistance. I much more prefer the negative variation of the pull-up because it is much harder. You're gonna be in pain, it's gonna suck, but it's gonna work. Another fun variation is the Australian pull-ups. You're gonna find a low bar and hang from there and do your pull-ups there. This is gonna be much easier for you since it's more of a row rather than a pull-up, but it's gonna help build your back. So we have 3 exercises: scapular shrugs, negative pull-ups, and Australian pull-ups. You do any of those 3 times a week, you will see improvement towards your pull-up. For me personally, the way I did it, I started off with scapular shrugs, moved on to Australian pull-ups, and then did negatives. And I did those all in one workout. So I started off with scapular shrugs, moved on to negative pull-ups, and then did Australian pull-ups at the end. Next up, we have push-ups. Now you know Toji's got that crazy looking chest. So to get that, we need to make sure we master the pushing portion. To achieve this, if you can't do a single push-up at all, start off with the push-up support hold. You're gonna enter the top position of the push-up and hold there for time. Once you're comfortable with that, you're gonna move on to incline push-ups. You're gonna find a lower surface, maybe like a chair or a bed, and do your push-ups there. The lower your elevation, the harder it'll be. So you can start off pushing against the wall, lower yourself down to a chair, lower yourself down to a little box, and then eventually the floor. And lastly, our favorite thing to do are negatives. We have negative push-ups. It's the exact same principle as the pull-up. You start from the top position and slowly lower yourself down and then repeat. Do any of those 3 times a week. The way I personally did them was push-up support hold, incline push-up, and then negative push-up. Next up, we have the core. I know you saw him in that compression, his core was looking crazy. So we're gonna start off nice and light with a simple 1 minute plank. This is pretty self-explanatory. But if you're not quite at the level where you can do a plank, you might wanna do a hollow body hold. That's laying down with your back flat on the floor. You're gonna raise up your legs and then raise up your hands and then hold that for time. Alternatively, you can also work on your leg raises. You can either do hanging from the bottom to the midway point, or you can go hanging all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. If you're a little more advanced, you can start in an L sit and then move that to the top and then back down. And then last but not least, our favorite. Now we did not see Toji's legs at all. If you look in the manga, you can see that his legs are not looking too crazy, but nonetheless, just so we don't have any people saying, what about the other half? What about legs? Since legs are so important to you, start off with some body weight squats, Bulgarian split squats and pistol squats. The pistol squats will be a lot more difficult, so I recommend you have a bar to hold on to and then almost simulate the pistol squat going in a negative to get used to the movement. The last exercise you can do is a back squat. I know what you're saying, a back squat, But that's weights. That's weightlifting. Is it? This is a normal squat. This is a back squat. What is the only difference here? This one has weights on his back. Now I want you to look me in the eyes and tell me how this is not weighted calisthenics. You're adding weight to your body weight and you're performing a movement. That's weighted calisthenics. Back squat is ours. Fight me.